Are you also stuck with the validation of likes and don't realize it? We live in a curious time. It's never been easier to show everything about our lives: breakfast, the weekend trip, the workout at the gym, or that perfect sunset. On social media, it seems that to exist means to post. But there is a group that escapes this logic: people who post almost nothing. And that's where an interesting phenomenon of digital silence begins. Within the psychology of social media, we have been taught to seek likes, comments, and some form of social validation. The logic seems simple: the more we show, the more we exist in the digital world. But not everyone gets into this game. Some people prefer to preserve their digital identity and deal more calmly with social pressure online. Interestingly, many of these people aren't hiding, they just choose to live with more authenticity, more privacy on the internet, and less need for outside approval. Instead of falling into the trap of social comparison, they develop something powerful: emotional independence, presence in the moment, and a greater level of self-awareness. Today it seems that there is an unwritten rule: if something happened and you didn't post it, it almost seems like it didn't happen. The logic of networks encourages constant exposure, photos, stories, and updates all the time. In this scenario, digital silence sounds almost like a strange act. But, curiously, many people who don't post are simply living just without an audience. Within the psychology of social networks, sharing has become almost an automatic reflex. Someone travels, posts. Eat something different, post it. Conquer something, post. But some people are beginning to realize how this dynamic can fuel social comparison and the ongoing search for social validation, something that often brings more anxiety than satisfaction. Those who choose not to enter this cycle so much usually develop a different relationship with their own digital identity. Instead of shaping their lives to fit a photo or story, these people prioritize being present in the moment. It's like that classic scene: while some are busy looking for the best camera angle, others are simply enjoying the sunset. And this does not mean rejecting technology, but using it with more awareness and authenticity. Many of these people value privacy on the internet more and end up cultivating a greater level of emotional independence. And when we start to observe this behavior more closely, the next intriguing question naturally arises. At some point everyone has thought about this: why are there people who post almost nothing on social networks? In an environment where sharing has become almost automatic, this behavior draws attention. To many, digital silence seems mysterious, as if these people are always observing everything but rarely showing anything of themselves. The psychology of social networks shows that most posts are born from the need to belong. People want to be seen, recognized, and, in a way, approved. That's where the famous social validation comes in: likes, comments, and reactions that work almost like small signs of public approval. But not everyone feels this need with the same intensity. Some people realize early on that online social pressure can influence how we show our lives. Gradually, they begin to question whether they really need to expose every moment. Instead of fueling social comparison, they prefer to maintain a more discreet relationship with their digital identity, protecting what they consider really important. Interestingly, this choice is often born from a process of self-knowledge. The more one understands oneself, the less one feels the need to prove something to others. This makes room for more authenticity, more presence in the moment, and more privacy on the internet. And when we realize this, we begin to understand that silence can have a much more strategic function than it seems. For many people, not posting on social media isn't disinterested, it's a conscious choice. In an environment where everything seems public, digital silence becomes a way to decide what the world can and cannot know. People who don't post understand that, once published, a piece of information is no longer completely theirs. Within the psychology of social networks, there is a curious dynamic: the more someone shares, the more they feel the need to continue sharing. It's almost like a cycle of social validation that never ends. Those who decide to break this cycle begin to realize that controlling their own digital identity is also a form of freedom. Think of something simple, a special moment with friends or family. Some people immediately pick up their cell phones to register and publish. Others prefer to just live that moment with presence in the moment, without the need to transform the experience into content. This small gesture already demonstrates a different level of emotional independence. Basically, this choice is also linked to privacy on the internet and the desire to keep certain aspects of life out of the digital storefront. And when someone starts to exercise this kind of control, something interesting happens. The relationship with social networks changes completely. That's when we start to realize the role that digital culture plays in how we build our own image online. Over time, social networks are no longer just a place to share moments and have started to function almost like a stage. Within the psychology of social networks, posting has often become a way to show who we are, or at least who we would like to look like. Likes, comments, and views end up working as small doses of social validation. The problem is that, without realizing it, many people start to adjust their own digital identity to please the public. Photos are chosen carefully, moments are edited, and even emotions end up being filtered. This dynamic creates a kind of constant performance, fueled by online social pressure and inevitable social comparison. It is at this point that some people who do not post begin to see the game more clearly. They realize that, many times, real life does not need to be transformed into a spectacle. Instead of shaping experiences to fit in a post, they prefer to cultivate authenticity and simply live the moments with more presence in the moment. Over time, this posture also strengthens something very important: emotional independence. When someone does not depend so much on the public's reaction, they start to live with more freedom and more privacy on the internet. And it is precisely this freedom that reveals some interesting psychological characteristics in people who choose not to expose themselves so much online. When we look closely at people who don't post, we realize that many of them share some interesting psychological characteristics. In general, they tend to be more introspective and reflective. This does not mean shyness, but rather a greater inclination towards self-knowledge and to better understand one's thoughts before exposing them to the world. Within the psychology of social networks, those who do not depend so much on sharing tend to develop a greater sense of emotional independence. These people don't feel as much of a need to seek social validation through likes or comments. Instead, they find satisfaction in real experiences and presence in the moment, without having to record them all the time. Another common trait is greater care with privacy on the internet. These people understand that each publication contributes to building a digital identity, and they prefer to calmly choose what is really worth showing. This stance greatly reduces the influence of online social pressure and also lessens the impact of social comparison. Over time, this way of relating to the digital environment creates something rare nowadays: a greater sense of authenticity. The person does not need to adapt their life to appear interesting on the networks. And when someone begins to experience this freedom, they realize that it may also be possible to free themselves from the constant need for approval online. At some point, many people who don't post start to notice something curious. When you stop looking for likes, comments, and reactions, a certain freedom appears. Within social media psychology, social validation works almost like a small reward system. Each notification brings a quick sense of recognition. The problem is that this dynamic can become a habit that is difficult to break. Online social pressure encourages people to show off achievements, happy moments, and carefully selected versions of their lives. Gradually, digital identity comes to depend on the approval of others, further fueling social comparison. When someone decides to reduce posts or adopt a digital silence, something interesting happens: the relationship with the networks changes. Instead of seeking external approval, the person begins to value their own experiences more. This strengthens emotional independence and increases the sense of presence in the moment. Over time, this shift also expands the space for authenticity, internet privacy, and more self-knowledge. The person realizes that not everything needs to be shared to have value. And precisely this realization begins to pave the way for an even deeper reflection on what it really means to live authentically in such an artificial environment. Over time, some people who don't post begin to notice something curious. Many of the things that appear on social networks are carefully put together. Within social media psychology, there is a natural tendency to show only the best moments. The problem is that this creates an environment that seems too perfect and often far from reality. This dynamic fuels social comparison. When someone only sees trips, achievements, and smiles on timelines, they may end up believing that the lives of others are always more interesting. For those who value authenticity, this logic begins to seem artificial. This is where digital silence becomes almost a choice of personal coherence. Instead of shaping experiences to fit a perfect shot, these people prefer to live the moments with more presence in the moment. They understand that not everything needs to become content or generate social validation. This stance also protects the digital identity itself from the constant influence of online social pressure. Basically, this search for authenticity also strengthens emotional independence and self-knowledge. The person starts to ask himself, am I living this for myself or to show it to others? And when this question starts to appear more frequently, another very common phenomenon on social networks often arises: emotional fatigue. As time goes by, many people begin to feel a certain fatigue when dealing with social networks. The psychology of social networks shows that constant exposure and the search for social validation can generate emotional exhaustion. After all, maintaining an active digital identity requires energy, attention, and an almost continuous presence online. Online social pressure also contributes to this burnout. There is a silent expectation to always show interesting, happy, or productive moments. This ends up fueling social comparison, making some people feel that they need to keep up with a rhythm that, deep down, does not represent their reality. It is precisely at this point that many people who do not post choose digital silence as a form of emotional protection. By reducing exposure, they preserve their privacy on the internet, strengthen emotional independence, and are able to live with more presence in the moment, also developing a greater level of self-knowledge. There is an interesting concept in psychology: some experiences gain more meaning when they remain personal. Many people who don't post realize that certain moments lose some of their magic when they're immediately shared. Therefore, they adopt a digital silence as a way to preserve the emotional value of these experiences. Within the psychology of social networks, there is almost an automatic impulse to record everything. Beautiful dinner becomes a photo, a trip becomes an album, an achievement becomes a post. But those who value more privacy on the internet understand that not every experience needs to become part of the digital identity or seek social validation. Think of something simple: a special date, a deep conversation, or even a quiet personal achievement. When these moments are lived with presence in the moment, without the influence of online social pressure or social comparison, they tend to strengthen the self-knowledge and emotional independence of those who live them. Digital silence is not always born only from conscious choice. In some cases, it is also linked to the fear of judgment. Within the psychology of social networks, each post can seem like a kind of public showcase, where the digital identity is exposed to everyone's opinion. Online social pressure can intensify this feeling. Many people think several times before posting something. Will they criticize? Will they interpret it wrong? This type of concern increases self-presentation anxiety and ends up reinforcing social comparison, making some people who don't post prefer to avoid this exposure. Interestingly, By reducing the search for social validation, some people end up developing more emotional independence. They start to value experiences lived with more presence in the moment, also maintaining greater privacy on the internet. This process often ends up strengthening self-knowledge and a more authentic way of relating to the digital world. When some people who don't post start to reduce their active presence on the networks, something interesting happens. More time and attention is left for the real world. Within the psychology of social networks, many interactions end up becoming quick and superficial. Digital silence, on the other hand, can make room for deeper connections. Without the constant need to record everything, the person starts to value the presence in the moment more. A conversation with friends, a family dinner, or even a simple coffee can gain more meaning. This lessens the impact of social comparison and reduces the influence of online social pressure on how life is lived. In addition, by not relying so much on social validation, these people strengthen their emotional independence. They don't need to prove that they are happy or successful through digital identity. Instead, they build relationships based on real experiences, also preserving more privacy on the internet and expanding their own self-knowledge. Ultimately, digital silence can become a powerful choice in a world where social media psychology encourages constant visibility. Some people who don't post find that they don't need to be exposed all the time to exist or be recognized. They simply choose to participate in the digital environment more selectively. This decision greatly reduces the influence of online social pressure and social comparison. When someone stops relying so much on likes or comments, social validation loses strength. Gradually, the person starts to build a digital identity more aligned with their own reality, and not with the expectations of the public. Over time, this posture strengthens something extremely valuable: emotional independence, authenticity, and a greater level of self-knowledge. By protecting their privacy on the internet and valuing their presence in the moment more, these people realize that not every life needs to be displayed to have meaning. After gaining a better understanding of the psychology of social media, you may have started to look differently at the so-called digital silence. People who don't post aren't necessarily hiding from the world. They're often just choosing to live with more authenticity, more presence in the moment, and less reliance on social validation. It's worth reflecting for a moment: how many times have you felt the social pressure online to show something of your life? How many times have you compared your path with other people's because of social comparison on the networks? Perhaps developing more emotional independence and taking care of your privacy on the internet is an important step to strengthen your self-knowledge as well. So I leave you with some questions for you to think about. Are you living your life? Or are you living to show it? Does your digital identity represent who you really are, or just the version that seems most acceptable online? Sometimes, learning to use social media consciously or even embracing a little digital silence can be one of the most liberating ways to live. If this content made sense to you, take the opportunity to subscribe to the channel and activate notifications so you don't miss the next videos on human behavior, mind and personal development. After all, understanding yourself can be the first step to living with more freedom and purpose.